Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 10 of our Transport Fever 2 Let's Play. If you guys are new to the series, you can definitely check out some of the older videos. We can do a quick recap of what we got going on. So let's hop into episode 10 here. So we are just taking a look at our tools train, and I will explain why in just a minute. Let's just make sure time is running. But in the last episode, we established a passenger line up here to Hythe from Skelton. And let's see, yeah, it just came in here. This nice red train here. 51 capacity. It's filling up pretty well. Starting to do decently well on the finances, which is good to see. We also established this crossover here to allow trains routing from Hythe to be able to get up to Norton. And the reason for that, let's see if we can find it, is this, our Conmat train that's running in, making an absolute ton of money whenever it drops off a delivery. And that will drop off here in Norton, deliver into Norton, and then we've also got some trucks utilizing this third platform here to deliver Conmat down here to Gately. So that is very good. Okay, so just while we're here, let's take a look at this Conmat. What's that? Skelton? Nope, not the rail. I want Gately Conmat. And let's get maybe 2 more trucks on there. And I don't know where those guys spawned from. Alright, so they spawned all the way down here in Gately. That's okay. They'll make their way up there and pick up some Conmat. Just that too much of it doesn't pile up on the platform. Want to keep this working pretty well. Okay. The reason that we started, if I can find it again, on our tools train is that I actually just saw a pretty simple delivery that we can make with our existing track. We have this tools factory here. Now, currently it's only serving Norton, but I think that we could get it to serve an additional city fairly easily. It's getting a pretty solid supply of lumber, which is good. We've got this running. In fact, we could probably go ahead and put on a few more trucks on that lumber line. And this logs is doing pretty good as well. However, this factory could probably serve a second city. So it's already dropping off down here in Skelton. And it's piling all the tools on this platform here. And I think we're going to double up that platform. So it's going to be 2 trains picking up from there. And they're going to take it up to Hythe, which demands tools. So let's come in here. I'm going to give Hythe an additional platform here, just for drop-offs. So anything that gets dropped off into Hythe can just use this outside platform. And it means we're going to have to clean up this junction a little bit. So why don't we take this track a little bit further out. Bring this one down here. Merge that in. And then we'll make our merge here. And what I think I'll do is something like this. So that will be able to cross over there. And then this one will be able to cross over here. And now if we go ahead and put our one-way signals back in, all of those lines should work, which they do. Okay, so now we can establish that drop-off. So let's go back to Skelton, and let's take a look here. So I'm going to set up a new line, starting in Skelton, and it's going to run all the way up here to Hythe. And at Hythe, let's see, I want them to use platform 3. Let's see, what if we make that a dark blue? Is that going to conflict? Maybe a light blue? Nope, that's already there. Maybe like a magenta, or yeah, really dark magenta color. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And that, yes, is going to use that same platform at Hythe, platform 1. Perfect. And at Skelton, I want it to wait for a full load forever before it heads up here. And this is just going to pick up tools. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we already have a train running up to Hythe. It's that oil train. Really quick, let's come into the Hythe to Skelton fuel crude. Could I throw on a few boxcars? I could. Let's see, I just accidentally deleted some cars on there. So I could throw on a few. And that would give us... How much are these? These are capacity 4, so that would only be 16. I don't think we really have a powerful enough train to make that work yet, unfortunately. Yeah, so with that being the case, well, I guess I could double the trains. Yeah, let's get rid of that line altogether. Let's go to the Hythe to Skelton fuel crude, and this is going to be tools as well. So now let's come in here. Let's come into the... Let's come into this train. Let's see if this works. So if I take... like 4 of these off, so we still have 60 capacity, and I add 6 of those on, those will be able to pick up tools. So let's modify that. We'll make it the right color. And then I'm going to clone that whole train. And now let's kind of speed this up and let's see how this is going to look. So it's going to come out with the tankers and then the boxcars. And now that should start to pick up tools. So now if we come down here, this is coming into this platform. And then let's just make sure that at Skelton, what are they going to load? Fuel and tools? Like that. I just want to see if we start to get some tools put on here. Yeah, so these are starting to get delivered to Hythe. So we should start to get some tools onto this platform. I'm just curious if any of these are inbound. So this one is not. This one's running up there with the fuel only. And once this clears off the line, we shouldn't have nearly as much traffic. I'll be interested to see. Yeah, so he got on the line first. Okay. So this is going to come down here. Let's see if we're starting to get some tools. They should show up on this platform. And this is going to start blowing through that lumber pretty fast, so we're going to have to figure out a good way of getting lumber on there. All right. We'll let that run for a while, and we'll come back to it and see how it does. But the main thing that I want to get going today is I want to start producing tools here at Midhurst at the tools factory using steel. Now, the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use this steel mill up here at Reading. There's plenty of coal nearby that we can truck in, and there's some iron down here that we could move via rail using the existing rail line that's already in here. So in order to do that, let's get this started. So I'm going to clear out some of this, and then I'm going to clean up this road so that it's a little bit less windy. So let's bring that like down to there. And let's see if I get... If I get a road in there, and then we kind of bend this around to make that connection. So this is where our existing road is going to be. And now we need to get up here. So let's take that around like that, back through the trees. And now we'll cut down here. And if I keep this going straight... something like that. And then make that connection. I should be able to get a nice rail platform in here. So we'll connect that up. And now if I come in here with a cargo rail terminal, we'll go 240 meters, 2 platforms. Let me see. So if I got that in there, how's that look? Looks pretty good. And then why don't we just come through here and just kind of smooth that out. Smooth all this out so that this looks nice. So we'll just kind of clean that up. Okay, so we have our 2 rail platforms in here. That is in catchment of this facility. And now I'm going to need 2 cargo stations. So why don't I add those in like this? Just directly adjacent. And now if I come in here and we'll just expand these platforms, make them a little bit longer, and then we'll put a an overflow building in there. And then once again, we'll just come in here and just kind of smooth this out. Smooth all of that out to there. Okay. So now we have our truck stations in. So now we need to start delivering coal. I think we're going to use this coal facility here. So let's get a new road in there. And then let's also come through here and clean up this road as well. So if I put that in there, and then we'll just come through here and just smooth some of this stuff out. Okay, so now let's get a road in here. I'm going to branch it off straight here. And then we're going to curve in here roughly at a 90. Smooth that out. And now we just need a single truck stop. Maybe like right in there. And then we'll add on a little overflow for the coal. Not really necessary, but might as well. Looks nice. It looks nice. And that's generally the reason that I do most things in this game. Okay. So this will be our coal. So I'll make that black. And I want them to wait for a full load before they come over here. And this is going to be Reading coal. Okay. So those are going to start to drop coal off there. Let's take a brief minute and come over here to Skelton. Let's see if we're starting to get tools. Yeah, so we are starting to get tools onto this platform, which is really good to see. So this is taking whatever it's got, and it's going to run out there. Okay. And something tells me, yeah, this isn't really sending that much over to Hythe. So what I could do is if I come in here, and we'll fine-tune these a little bit. So if I drop this down to maybe 4. If I drop this down to maybe 4 boxcars. So take off 2 of those. Add on 2 of those. And then shift these to the end. So that's what we're going to have it look like. Just because they're not taking a ton of tools. Like this one only got 5. But as these tools start to pile up here, we can kind of reconfigure those trains. Get a little mixed use going on. Okay, so we have our coal line. And now we need to connect this rail line into this line that we already have existing here. So let's grab a track. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Is this going to be double track the whole way? It'll probably be double track the whole way down to there. I think. Maybe not, though. So let's get that track into there. And then let's bring this one down to here. Let's take a look at what our terrain is doing. So actually, if we joined in right about here, that would kind of keep the whole thing fairly level. So why don't I grab track here. Like that. And now let's see how this looks. Yeah, that looks like a pretty smooth merge. It is coming over here, so we got a 50-mile-an-hour curve, which is pretty nice. And now if I were to connect that into there, that would be fine, but let's back that off a little bit just to make this a little bit more gentle of a connection. So we'll connect that in like that. And then do we want this just double tracked all the way down here? Probably. Might as well. It's not a very long set of track. So we'll double track that down to here. And we'll run that onto here. And now let's see, they're going to be coming up and then going back out, so I don't need a crossover there. But why don't we double track a portion of this, maybe all the way down to this bridge, and then this will be, the bridge will be a block. So we'll connect that up. And then it will have a block coming into here. And then I think I probably want to double track this portion as well. So why don't I branch that off? And we'll send this up here. And then let's see if I can I merge this in nicely? I can't. Okay. So in order to fix this, let's see how we want to do this. Okay, so that will work. But that doesn't look very good. All right, so let's pause this for a minute. Let's back out a lot of that. And now let's generally try and follow where we were going. So if I grab this here, and branch that off, so that's nice and flat. And then we'll bring this along. So we're generally in line with where we were going. And how does that look with the slope? Yeah, see, that gets pretty steep because I pulled it out fairly far. So let's grab that, and let's see now if I connect that up. To maybe there. Just realized I had those little sections there. Okay, so now that's connected up. And now we can run this down here, like that. Okay. And now these are no longer going to be one-way signals. Because this is going to be two-way track. But in order to achieve that, we need to provide a point for the train to cross back over. So let's get one-way signals there. And there. Let's get a one-way signal there. Set right about there, and then a set right here before the merge. And then if we come back up here now, and we want to auto signal this, let's see, how did that do? Did pretty good. So let's send that back. And now I'm just going to shift these because we need to provide a way for this train to get back over here. So let's do a 40-mile-an-hour crossover. And then let's get rid of that extra signal. Okay. So now if we look at the existing passenger line, that is working. And then the fuel line is also sharing this double track, which is good. That's what we wanted to have happen. And now our cargo station should be free to connect up with this existing track. Although we do need to provide a crossover here. And now that I'm thinking about it, do I really need 2 tracks going in there? I guess you could say that we're planning for the future. So let's drop that down to a 30-mile-an-hour merge. And let's get some one-way signals in there. Set right in the middle. And then a set right here. Like that. Okay. So now that should all work. And now we are clear. You can let this run again. We are clear to set up this iron drop-off at this platform. Now we are going to come in here and add on another platform for them to use so that they have a dedicated platform. And now I'm going to bring this out here. So let's pause this for a minute because I'm just going to delete this track out so that I can just connect this platform straight into this track. So let's grab that to there. Let's bring that into there. And then we just need a crossover here. And I think that that should fix the whole thing. And now if we come in here with our one-way signals, that should still work. Yeah, it does. Okay. So now this has its own platform. Let's just come in here with a little brush and just kind of smooth that out a little bit, clean that up. And now we can establish our new line to deliver coal. Or, sorry, iron rather. And what color do I want to use for this? Maybe a light orange? I don't know, we'll have to see how that looks. It looks fine up there. I'm just worried, is it too close to this existing color? No, I think it's pretty good. And at Hoddesdon West, use platform 3. Okay, and it needs a way to cross over here. So with that being the case, why don't we just do that? Yeah, and now it can get onto that line. Okay, so let's find a depot around here. I could probably use this one to get a train onto there. But first, I want to clean this up. So let's delete out this whole road so we can kind of straighten it out so that we can get it up here to this facility. So let's come over here, kind of see where we're going. So we're going to be coming right down here, curve around there. And now that's how that wants to connect. Yeah, I guess that's okay. And now this is probably going to need a little smoothing out around here. So let's just do that. And now this is going to need a way to get up there. So let's grab this. And I hate how it does these. It makes these roads, these crossings at grade. which I guess isn't the end of the world. It just doesn't look that great. But then let's come in here and give this just a platform here. So let's kind of spin this around. And I think we'll just add it in like right here for them to drop off the iron. Expand that a little bit. And then just try and fix this slope if we can. But I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now... Oh, and we actually need... We need a platform here first. So this will just be one platform for the iron. Let's go ahead and put that in like right here, right adjacent to the iron facility. We'll add that in like that. And then we'll just kind of smooth that out. Okay, so now if we go into lines, we'll get a new line. And we'll run it up to here, and this is going to be bright orange. I want them to wait forever before they come up here. And this is going to be Hoddesdon iron. And now we actually need a depot around here, so why don't we get that in maybe here, adjacent to this this facility. And why don't I come out here? I'm just gonna try and fix this a little bit. Just so that it's nice square intersection. Like that. Smooth that out. And now let's get some vehicles on here. So we'll use these DMG CanStats, the, you know, our diesel trucks. And let's get maybe 20 of them. And we'll get them on this line. And we'll make them bright orange. Now, there's not going to be any iron down there. Because this line, which we're going to call Reading Iron... And we're going to have them wait at Hoddesdon West for a full load of iron. This line does not have a train on it. So let's come in here. And let's get a train. We'll probably go with a PLM. And what do we need for iron? We need gondolas. So why don't we go with maybe 80 capacity? 88 capacity? And we'll throw that on Reading Iron. And now we should start to see, yep, so we're starting to see iron pile up here, which is good. We got a lot of trucks, so hopefully those kind of spread themselves out and get that iron up there. But now we need to get some vehicles on the coal. So let's come in here to this Reading depot. And let's get maybe 16 onto this coal line. And we should start to see coal pile up here. Perfect. Okay, so that's going to allow us now to produce steel. And the steel is then going to allow us to produce tools down here at the Midhurst Tools Factory. Now this needs, oh, I just realized this needs to be cleaned up. I missed a spot of decoration. That's okay, though. So if we come in here to our terrain, it's pretty good. I think we'd be able to fit a station in, you know, right around here. That would look nice. So with that being said, if we double track a little bit out here and then kind of branch off, that should work. So let's get a road in here. Directly adjacent to this tools factory. And then if we come in here with a 240 meter platform and just stick that right here, right at the end, we should be able to get a train onto here. So let's see, if we connect that up like that, that would probably work. So let's pull this out here. And now I think what we're going to do is have some triple. Because let's see, they're going to be coming down this way and then crossing over. I just want to give them enough distance to kind of queue. So let's bring that to there. I'm actually going to back this out. And I'm going to merge that in there. So that should give them enough distance to queue. And now if we do a little bit of double track. So from there down to about here, this will be their queuing distance. So we'll put this at about 50 miles an hour for the merge. And now let's see, I want a non-one-way signal here. And a non-one-way there. So this will kind of be where they queue up. And then this will be double track. So we'll run double track out here. How far do we want this double track to go? Because we've got it running to here already, and this is pretty easy terrain. So I feel like we'll run a pretty significant amount of double track. And then why don't we tie it back in right about there. So that will all be double track. And now we need to get some one-way signals on here. And we really want to use that auto signal. So we'll send that down. And it should run, yeah, right down to here. So I'll send that back. And then I'll go ahead and add in a few signals manually. So now that is working. So that's double track all the way up to this, which is going to be our block. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to... Let's see, actually, I kind of want to back this off a little bit. So we'll do a 65 there. And then a 65 there. And we'll remove that signal. We'll add those in there. And now this is going to somehow tie in here. How? I am not sure yet. But if I grab a track... Yeah, so that's interfering there. Let's back that off now. And if I just kind of start to bend this around. Just trying to get a good look. Yeah, so that's pretty even. So something like that. And then I'll merge that in there. Okay, and we have an issue here. Okay, so what is the issue? No path. Okay, and why is there no path? So if we look here, it can get back onto there. It can cross over there. It has to do with what I just did. Somehow I just broke this. Okay, so let's see. What did we do? We added this in. Now, why would this be an issue? Let's see, if I get rid of that. Interesting. I'm thoroughly confused. So that wasn't the issue. Maybe if I just flip it around. Is it too long for the platform? No. I don't know. Genuine mystery. Maybe it just got messed up. Hopefully that fixed it. But okay, so if we come out here now at, what did we say? Something like that. And now I want to connect this in here. So if I keep this going. Like that. And then I tie that in there. We'll make it fill. That looks pretty smooth. So if I tie that in there and then in there, that will allow it to merge into that line. Okay, I think that'll work. Now this is going to be a pretty major block, so let's get non-one-way signals going. And let's go ahead and put one here and here. Actually, not one there, because I just want them to run all the way through. However, we will need a one-way signal here. Okay. So now we should be able to establish a new line from Reading down to this facility. And this is going to be delivering steel. So we'll make it kind of a dark navy blue color. And let's have them wait forever for full load. And this is going to be Midhurst steel. And now I need to get a train onto there. So where would be the best depot to get a train onto there? Maybe I'll send it from this one. Should be able to get it on there. Let's just see. If I buy the engine, and then I get that on Midhurst steel. Yeah. Okay, so that worked. And now we can come into here and actually add on what we need to move the steel. So we need these flat cars with side stakes. Maybe we'll go 80 capacity. And let's make it that nice dark navy blue. And then if we come up here, this should make its way down there with no issue. Let's see how our iron is doing. So we got 93 iron piling up there, which is good because we have our iron train coming back, ready to pick up. And now this should start to recognize that Midhurst Tools factory once we get the iron in here. Looks like we could probably get a few more coal trucks. So let's get like 4 more. And now let's see how we're doing down here at the iron. Probably get 4 more down here at the iron, just to keep that fully stocked. Now this should just take a full load of iron and turn itself around. Head back. Okay, perfect. And now it's going to wait for this to clear. And then once that clears, it should get underway. And again, once this train is onto its own line, there shouldn't be too much overlap, too much problem with what's going on. So if we just kind of see, yeah, that's going to set out now. It is going to cause this passenger train to halt movement for just a minute. And this passenger train is still kind of struggling with passenger numbers. That's okay, though. I would rather it struggle for a little bit and provide that regular service. I think that will be a benefit in the long run. But okay, so that's working nicely. And we should start to get some tools up here. Now, where are we going to deliver those tools once they're made? We are going to deliver them back to Reading using that same cargo station and over to Midhurst. Now, I guess what we could do is make our steel train dual use as well. So what if we took off 4 of those and added on a couple boxcars? Maybe something like that. So it's, what is it now, 17 and 5? Yeah. And that looks good now. So now that will take some tools back to Reading. And we need to get those tools dropped off in the city. So if we come into here now and get a truck stop, they're going to use that second platform over there. And they're going to come into town. And why don't we have them drop off, like, right here? Something like that. So let's get a new line. And it will just run right into here, right into Reading, dropping off the tools. Maybe a little lighter blue. Something like that. Yeah, that looks nice. And I want them to wait for a full load of tools before they come in here, because it's going to take a while for the tools to actually get here. So this will be Reading tools. And now we can come into here and get, why don't we get maybe 3 trucks on there, onto the Reading tools line. And they'll just come up here and sit in this platform until, until we have the tools. We've got our first load of iron coming up here. And we've got a ton of iron on this platform. So let's max out this train. Let's see how much iron we can really get. Yeah, so we're already dropping down to mediocre. Let's see, we could probably squeeze a couple more cars of iron out of it without it losing too much speed. It doesn't have too terrible amount of incline to deal with on this line, because luckily it's moving. This portion here is fairly flat. It's going to come uphill a little bit, but once it gets kind of up here by this alcohol distillery, it's pretty much downhill until this moderate climb and then into the station, which is back downhill. So I don't think adding too much weight onto this train is going to be too much of a problem. So with that being said, let's add 2 more on there, just to try and get as much iron coming up here as we can. Because something tells me that the iron will be the limiting factor for this facility, not the coal. In fact, we could probably get a little bit more coal flowing over here. So now if we come through here and speed this up, we're about to hit 1900, which will be quite nice. And so this will come in here now, and we should see this start to be producing, yep, for Midhurst Tools Factory. Which is perfect, and we're seeing the steel pile up on this train. And this train will take it down to that tools factory and hopefully bring some tools back. However, Midhurst right here demands some tools. So why don't we deliver them some tools? So if we're going to come into here and we want to grab a road, might branch off a little road here, do the same out here, and then if we just connect those up, and then we can kind of smooth out everything we got going on over here. Smooth that out a little bit. Okay. So now that's connected. And now we can get a little depot here. Or not a depot, a station, cargo station. And why don't we do something like that? And we can go ahead and deliver tools into Midhurst. Now we need a truck stop. They're going to come in on this road. And I would love for them to avoid the population areas. So I'm going to add on just a couple roads here. Like that. And I get that that's going to kind of eat in to what we've got going on. That's okay, though. So if I want them to stop there, let's come in here. Let's get a new line. Let's have these guys run into Midhurst here. And yes, it's going to do ridiculous things. So let's see. If I want them to avoid... Let's add some waypoints in there. And let's see, after... Let's make this a little bit nicer color. Maybe that color. So after the tools factory, I want them to come in there, but I would love it if they'd go that way. So let's shift those waypoints down to there. I want them to come in this way, and then I want them to leave that way. So that's what I want them to do. And these guys are going to wait forever for a full load of tools before they come in here. So let's name this Midhurst Tools. And then let's go ahead and get some vehicles on here. Maybe 4 of them. And we'll get them on the Midhurst Tools route. And they'll just come up here and sit here for a little bit. We can just kind of smooth this out. Okay, so let's see if our steel train has departed. It has not, because we ran out of iron. Kind of thought that might happen, but our iron train is on its way back. I would love to get a second one on there. I think we can probably handle it. In terms of traffic on this line. I mean, this is crushing it at 31, so why not instead... Why don't we add maybe 4 more? And let's see, how long does that make this? 217 meters? So we're good, because this is a 240 meter platform. How long is this? I think this is 240 as well. Yeah, that's 240. So we've still got a little bit of space to work with on that train. This is coming up to nearly full capacity. And then it should set off. Ah, okay. So we have a problem here. I didn't realize that this would happen. So this is waiting for a full load of everything, but it's never going to fill those boxcars. So what if I do that? Will that make that work? If it's just waiting and I told it to only pick up steel? Nope. So that's not going to work. So let's say wait for a full load for 4 minutes. I don't know why I keep jumping over there. Let's see if that works now. Yeah, okay, so that worked. However, this just made me think that we might have issues. Yeah, so this is also waiting for a full load. So let's come in here and let's tell it to wait for a full load for 4 minutes. And now that will set out. Okay, so we got the A35. And we got new tank cars, new gondolas. We got a new ship. This is a huge... This is probably, in my opinion, the biggest unlock if you start in the Steam era, because the A35 is a beast. And those new cars just allow you to move so much more material. So let's come in here with the Iron Train, for instance. So we had the PLM on there. Goes 37. It's got 612 horsepower and 75 kilonewtons. This goes 62. Has 1,300 horsepower, so more than double, and 115 kilonewtons of force. This train is an absolute beast. And we're definitely going to start getting A35s on here immediately. But really quick, I just want to check what other lines did we add. So that's just got those. That just has those. I think it was just these. And then I think the steel train was our other dual use train. Now that I'm thinking about it. Pretty sure. But I think we're going to get to the A35s in the next episode. I think that'll be what we're going to do. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's throw one on here. So let's replace this. Let's get an A35. And then what do we need? We need gondolas. So let's max out the length on here. 238 meters. And let's see, that's going to hold 176. This holds 120. So let's get that on there. And let's make it that orange color. And this train is a total beast. It's going to be awesome. We are going to start to get limited with speed on some of our bridges. So that's going to be important to keep in mind. Because that was limited right there. Let's take a look here. If we can... yeah, so our bridges are limiting us to 56. But the rest of our track is laid out for 75. Except for like a merge right here. Doesn't really matter because these are limited to 50. So we're still okay. But yeah, I'm really excited to have these new trains. I love the A35. I think it's an awesome looking train. And I think it's going to be really good for our lines here. We're going to start to get a ton of cargo coming in. That's going to be great. So let's see, our steel train made it all the way down here. Didn't pick up any tools yet. And let's see, yeah, it's going to ship more to Reading than Midhurst, which is actually good. That's kind of what I want to have happen. So in the next episode, hopefully, if I forget this in the next episode, somebody's going to have to remind me in the comments. But where is a shipping depot? Okay. So we unlocked the Klondike right before I started recording. And I love using this for passengers, as well as this Frontenac. I love using that for passengers as well, especially when you're kind of focusing more on the Steam era. They're fairly slow, but they carry a ton of people, and I would love to find a place where we could do some passenger ferries. I don't really know if this map is perfectly laid out for it, just because we only have a couple cities that are like right on the water. Like Osset here, we could probably fit a ferry stop in here and maybe run it down to Midhurst, potentially. It's a little bit far. Maybe down to Skelton. I just don't know. Certainly down to Carshalton. Carshalton is perfect. And Twickenham. Like, that could actually be a good one. But hopefully, if I forget to do it in the next episode, hopefully somebody will remind me. But that being said, I'm really excited for our new ships. And why don't we go ahead and swap these out for Vandals? Can't, because they only move liquid. I was thinking that these were Axle Ps, but that's fine. Over here, how are these doing? The ship's doing okay, although we're starting to get a pretty decent amount of conmat or stone building up, so let's get another one of those. Okay, guys, that is going to bring us to the end of this episode, and I'm really excited. I love where this series is going, and I hope you guys are as well. Trying to get the videos out, as fast as I can. Interestingly enough, just had a kid, so really excited for that, but it may interrupt the videos somewhat. Hopefully not, though. And, really excited for, obviously the kid, but also where the channel's going. We're doing great. Almost up to 500 subscribers. I'm super thankful. If you're not subscribed and you made it this far, definitely consider subscribing. I think, we're doing good stuff on the channel. And if you like it, just consider it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So thanks. Bye.